Comment on Chaucer's effective use of symbolism. It should be noted that we can have settings which are symbolic. We can have characters that are symbolic. We can have events that are symbolic. We can also have objects. Let's start with our symbolic settings. We'll begin with the seasonal setting in the general prologue, which is the month of April and the season of spring. This is the season that is associated with the first showers of rain after winter, which therefore helps the grass to sprout and leaves to come back to the branches where they had died off, making the whole place to become green. What is the symbolic effect of this season? It symbolizes rebirth. It symbolizes rejuvenation. It symbolizes mobility. It symbolizes life. We now understand why the pilgrims had decided to choose this season in order to renew their Christian lives, which have been dormant because of the season of winter. And it is also because it's a season of mobility where people can move from one place to another. We can go to the historical setting, which is the medieval period, which of course brings to us the journey motive, which deals with the pilgrimage to Canterbury. Historically, the medieval period was dominated by the presence of the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church encouraged people to undertake monastic life and also to undertake pilgrimages to visit the shrines of martyrs or to visit the Holy Land. And it was also a period where the church encouraged people to work out for their salvation. This is important because it gives us the reason why the pilgrims decide to go on a pilgrimage. It is for two reasons. One, for thanksgiving, for thanking God for preserving them for their health, for provision, and other good things that had happened in their lives, and for penance, to ask for the forgiveness of their sins. The Tabat Inn is a first-class hostel in Southwark, in the suburb of London. That is where the pilgrims decided to assemble instead of a church. It is here that Chaucer realized that these pilgrims looked so friendly, and he also befriends them. It is here that we are told that the rooms were spacious and comfortable. The food was of good quality. And they decided to tell stories. The Tabat Inn already starts making us to understand that this journey was more of pleasure and friendship than for religious reasons. At a level of characters, in the general prologue, we can talk about the wife of Bath, who dresses in very expensive clothes. She refuses to go to the offertory table if someone goes before her because she wants to use the church to expose her beautiful body features. And we are also told that she has been married many times and she has had so many lovers in her life. She becomes a symbol of hypocrisy, extravagance, and promiscuity. The prowess is a woman who is supposed to live a very simple, but she lives a courtly life. Instead of helping human beings, she prefers to help animals. She even wants to be called madam when she's not married. And she swears by Saint Lord and keeps a beautiful golden chain. She becomes a symbol of worldliness, hypocrisy, and materialism. On a positive note, the poor person is the one who is full of the Spirit. Instead of asking for tithes from his poor Christians, he shares his Easter gifts with them. He is ready to teach the good news and to be a good example himself. He moves from one cottage to another despite the whiteness of his parish. He visits both the old and the young, the rich and the poor. He becomes a symbol of spirituality, generosity, and dedication. In the merchant's tale, at a level of setting, January's mansion is a kingly one with everything in abundance. The mansion highlights wealth. During the marriage ceremony, the wedding is one of the best that the world has ever seen, with everything in abundance, highlighting extravagance. It is also a place where he has a garden of love. The drinking and the eating symbolize pleasure. But we should also note that this is a place where he showers me with a lot of love and asks me to go and take care of Damian, whom he had just learned is ill, symbolizing love. The garden of love is January's personal and secret love garden, where he thinks the things that he cannot do in bed with his wife, to enjoy his wife and give him pleasure and give her pleasure, he can do it in the garden. And he is the only one who has the key that gives entry into the garden. The garden highlights courtly love. But it should be noted that it is also here that May wants to have Damian. And she has already made plan to duplicate a false key with which they are going to gain entry into the garden. And when her husband decides that they will be going into the garden, she seizes the opportunity to sneak Damian in, get him up the tree, tells her husband to get her up the tree because she wants to pluck a fruit with the intention of wanting to get her husband to get sexual gratification up there with Damian, highlighting infidelity and symbolizing infidelity and hypocrisy. The following actions are symbolic in the general prologue. The prowess eats in a courtly manner, symbolizing worldliness. She feeds her pet with expensive food, which is misguided charity, symbolizing hypocrisy. The merchant speaks much about himself, his success in business, whereas he is heavily in debt, symbolizing hypocrisy. In the merchant's tale, January spends time with May in the garden of love, doing what they could not do on the bed, getting a feel of his wife, symbolizing courtly love. May and Damien continue to flirt with one another in the house using letters. They do this in front of January in his blind state, symbolizing hypocrisy and infidelity. Remember that when you are using symbolism, everything you talk about, the end will be, it symbolizes dash. It's not highlighting. It symbolizes, because you are talking about symbolism. Share our videos with other students all over the country. Send them the link for those who have it. Send the links to your friends. Let them also profit. Tell them to click on the subscribe button and let them also leave us a message. If there is a question you have a problem with in any text, in literature in English, any section in literature in English, send it to the comment section and we will look for a solution to it immediately. Thank you. Bye-bye.